All right. So for our vocabulary, so we're talking about the Cuban cars, classic cars in Cuba. And on page 2, number 1, come to a halt. The word halt means to stop abruptly. Like, even if you're interrupted, you just completely stop. And there's a certain way that we use it very often, and that's when a production from a factory or manufacturing comes to a halt. Usually it's because of maybe there's like a recall or safety issues or inspection or maybe even like a cost issue. So, for example, if you hear about in the news that there's a certain product that's being sold that catches on fire or explodes or something, and it's dangerous, what happens is production of that product comes to a halt. So everything just stops instantly, and then they try to see what's going on. Now, when something comes to a halt, that can be forever, or it can resume again. Somebody was asking me about the difference between coming to an end or coming to a finish. Coming to an end and coming to a finish kind of sounds like it's going to stop forever, right? Coming to a halt does not mean it's forever. It can just resume. Resume. It can just resume. I'm making up new words. Number 2, ingenuity. So ingenuity is basically to have some kind of very creative and inventive skill, but it has to be much more than just creative. Like, you can be creative in the workplace, you can be creative at a party or something like that. But to have ingenuity is to be new at it too, to have something new and useful. So usually when you talk about people that drive ingenuity, usually those are people that are like famous inventors or scientists. So you can say, or people that make some famous products. Steve Jobs, the invention of the iPhone was a great example of ingenuity, or the factory line created by Ford is a great example of ingenuity. They created this process. Number 3, lengths. So this is actually incomplete. It should be to go through or went through or move through great lengths is usually what we say. They don't say it the complete way in the video, but you just assume it, basically. So usually it's an expression, and it's to show how much trouble, how much effort, how far you went to do something. So you can use this in a positive way, in a neutral way, or in a negative way. For example, if you were like bragging about how hard you worked on something. So if somebody was like, "Wow, your project finished great," they evaluated your success or your or how well it finished, and they were like, you did great at this. This finished on time, and you cut costs here, and you were able to deliver. And then you could reply, "Oh, thanks. I went through great lengths to make sure that we had this, go in order." There's also, if maybe you were talking about a process that somebody was currently going through, I can tell you're working really hard. I can tell you're moving through great lengths to try and make sure that this plan is executed well, right? So that's more neutral. But you can also use it in a kind of negative way to complain. So let's say you are planning an event. And planning an event is not easy. It takes coordination, timing, costs, and also you have to get a lot of people to commit to it, right? So if you plan this huge event, and then somebody calls you and they say, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I can't make it," and then you get kind of frustrated, you can tell them, "Wow, did you know I went to great lengths to plan this for you, to have this event for you, and you canceled?" So you can use that to complain. It's very useful. The next, number 4, blow away. It should be blown away with an N. That's incomplete. Blown away is when you're just really overwhelmingly impressed by something. you saw a great movie, you saw Bohemian Rhapsody or something, you're like, wow, I was just blown away by it. It was amazing. I saw Frozen and I was blown away. Saw The Lion King and I was blown away. So anytime that, or somebody's maybe you went to a concert, like a live performance, um, or you saw somebody's artwork and you were amazed by it, you can just say, wow, I was absolutely blown away by that. And last, number 5, off the beaten path, is one of my favorite expressions. It's the explanation here is the literal explanation, but there's more to it. So it says little known or remote or lesser area. A beaten path refers to the route that is heavily traveled. That is true. The beaten path, everybody takes that. You see it very clearly, right? Imagine like a jungle. You're trying to get through a jungle. The safest way that everybody has taken and survived is to take the beaten path, right? If you go around the beaten path, it might be a little bit dangerous. You don't know. Like, not many people have tried it. However, we use this to say that, to try something different. So, especially if you're talking about travel, the beaten path is like everybody has gone to London to see Big Ben or the Eye or, anything like that. But going off the beaten path is like trying something a little bit outside of London. Or another version of the beaten path is going to Paris and going to the Eiffel Tower. But maybe a version of that, maybe a different alternate route would be to go outside of Paris and go to some local markets. That's off the beaten path. Or to travel to a lesser known country, or to travel to somewhere that people don't normally go. That's off the beaten path. So it's to say that you want to try something a little bit different, a little bit more customized for yourself, and to do something that maybe not many people have discovered or tried before. So off the beaten path is like, for example, if you find some tickets that are on sale to, a lesser known country, Slovenia. Have you guys been to Slovenia? Do you know anybody that has? I have a friend that he came from Slovenia, and he says it has some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. So now you know. You can try something a little bit off the path. Okay. Now that's the vocabulary from the list, but there's a couple more things I want to explain on page 3. On page 3, the first paragraph, the second line where it says teeming, T-E-E-M-I-N-G. Teeming means to have like an overwhelming feeling or show something like a lot. So usually you say like something is teeming with a kind of like emotion. So like if you're talking about somebody is about to get married, they're teeming with excitement. They're showing a lot of excitement, If maybe a lot of people are really nervous because they have to take a test or something, right? Then people are teeming with anxiety. So it's to say that most people are showing or feeling this thing. And then in the middle, there's like a big middle paragraph where it says, these abandoned cars. I don't know if you see that. The middle sentence, parts from tractors or lawnmowers became makeshift engines. Do you guys know what makeshift is? Yeah, makeshift is like a kind of quick backup idea. It's not perfect. It's not the same as like the original, and doesn't really, it's not as good, but it'll get the job done. So, if you have a presentation and there's a technical problem, you can't get the computer to work or the projector to work, so you decide, okay, I'm just gonna give everybody a handout and use my own cards for my notes, and I'll just write on the whiteboard. That's my makeshift presentation. It's like my backup. Yeah, it's not as perfect as like PPT on the projector, but it's a good makeshift presentation. And then last, on the second to last big paragraph where it says being a driver, you guys see where it says that? The last sentence before it finishes to the last line, so like the second to last line, remember that your photo op is their way of life. Do you guys see that? So the middle paragraph that starts with being a driver, and then at the bottom of that paragraph, their way of life in red. So before that it says photo op. Op is short for opportunity, photo opportunity. So like if you're running for a kind of political office, running for president or something, they're always looking for a good photo op. You know, people coming to shake your hands and smile. You know, even for celebrities, they're always looking for a good photo op to make themselves look good. So here they're talking about Instagram, people looking for a good photo op on their Instagram. And so basically you're just kind of looking for a good moment to take a picture to present yourself in a certain way that you want to be presented. That's a photo op. Okay, that's all for Ken.